Happy Tuesday to all of you. Welcome to another edition of the DJ Staples 93 Artist Spotlight. Tonight we're going to do something a little different. We're going to hang out with a friend of mine here in the local Jersey area. We're going to talk everything from podcasting to music to comedy, and we're going to try and pack it all into a fun 90 minutes. So without further ado, this gentleman is on Spotify, which I'm not going to lie, I'm a little envious. I've been doing the Twitch thing for a little bit, but wouldn't mind getting myself on the Spotify thing one day, the platform, if you will, to be all fancy and use technical radio terms. So without further ado, let's welcome into the conversation here this evening my friend Lou. What's up, Lou? How are you, buddy?
Brad, great to see you, man. Thanks for having me on.
It's good to see you. It's so funny, like when you say hello and then you come onto these things, and it's almost like the cliche greeting, right? Like, hey, good to see you. Hey, thanks for having me. It's so great to be here. It's so tacky and cliche, but it's all good, man. How are you? How you been?
I'm good. I definitely agree with you, though. I think we've just watched enough TV and talk shows our whole lives to kind of have it conditioned. You know?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
No, but
I got to let a little secret out of the bag. When I first met you, I don't know if you know this. I used to call you Joe. Do you remember that? Or you might have been, we both might have been kind of busy when that was happening, if you will. You know what I'm saying?
I think, well, we met in a place where they were serving plenty of libations. So I might have had enough and probably answered to Joe.
Yeah, that's true.
You know?
Yeah. That's when you know you're pretty messed up. Like, hey, Joe. And you just turn around. You're like, yeah, you must be talking to me. That's when you know you're fucked up.
Yeah, I actually don't really have a memory of that. No.
Well, I do, and so I'm coming clean with it. So I'm sorry that I used to call you Joe. I know I'm an ass.
I'll try and get over it emotionally. I'll try, Brad.
And you know what else too? I see you're wearing a Rangers hat, and for those that do know me, that do watch, they know I'm from Toronto. Hence the constant Blue Jays, Maple Leafs gear, whatever it is. So despite your hockey team preference, I know we'll get along. I'm hoping we'll get along.
Oh, we will. We will. And you know what? I got to say, because I'm a very big hockey fan, and I love how you rep the six, as they call it. You got some great gear. I appreciate it. It's really cool to see.
They say, right? You could take the boy out of wherever, but you can't take the whatever out of the person or the boy or him or them or whatever you want to call them these days.
Don't talk about boys and people. You can't.
Sorry.
Too early. We just started.
I know. So listen, being that primarily I'm a music channel here, and I see you got your Carlin thing on the wall, so we'll definitely get to the talking. And for the folks that are just tuning in, I said to Lou, I almost called you Joe, before we came live here on Twitch, I love the fact that you're smoking, because that is such an old school thing to do. And being that I'm old and you're just familiar with the whole thing, like, and it's repeating for us, but for the two people watching, Tom Snyder, Johnny Carson, all those guys back in the day, they used to smoke, and kind of like you pretty much nailed it on the head. Or even when they did those, the roast of Dean Martin, right?
Yeah, like, those are classic.
But it was a classy thing back in the day when they did that, right?
Yeah, I always got that image and that kind of feel from it, but yeah, I just even guests on the Snyder show and Carson back in the day used to just light up, and it kind of just felt more homey. You know what I mean? Because everyone was smoking their brains out back then, but not as much as today. But I always got the impression, like, I feel like a guest is coming into someo's home. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's very relaxing, so I like it. So if you don't mind, just blow the smoke in the camera so I can catch a whiff of it.
The fine smell of Marlboro Lights. So intoxicating.
You gotta love it. All right, so let's talk music, right? So there's a lot to say with you, and when it comes to music, you're like a super talented dude when it comes to music. You're a musician, you play instruments. I've seen you. You've got a huge musical library knowledge up in that head of yours. So like what I do know of you, you were close with your dad, you're close with your mom, you're a good family dude.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, no, it's good stuff. Growing up Italian in Jersey, I don't know if the Italian matters, and I'm sorry if that comes off racist. But for the record, I have an Italian girlfriend, so I can say those things. like growing up, music influences. What were you listening to in your house? What were your folks listening to? And what were some of the first things you heard and were like, holy shit, this is great?
Well, that's a great question. Yeah, music was just so important to me, as you stated, and I think to everyone who watches this channel, I know music's important to you too. So as far as what I heard when I was younger, I got quite a mix, which was really nice because my father graduated high school in '71, and my mom graduated in 1980. So I got a lot of the '60s rock, the British Invasion, a lot of that stuff from my father. And I got more of like the singer-songwriter '70s stuff and the '70s rock from my mom. But if I could pinpoint it to maybe two artists that were on all the time when I was a kid, my mother always played Elton John like it was going out of style. And my dad was more mostly Beatles. I know it's pretty cliche, but he just had such a wide variety of taste. You know, not just British, American bands as well. Like he really loved the Rascals a lot.
All right.
So I heard the Rascals a lot too when I was younger. And in my opinion, my favorite, I played this record like crazy. Is the soundtrack for the movie Good Morning Vietnam.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. You ever seen that movie?
Yeah, I've heard of it. Yeah, yeah.
Oh, that soundtrack is killer because just, I mean, the Motown on there and the surfer rock and the soul, it was just, it was amazing. So yeah, I'm very blessed that I got thrown a lot of music my way when I was a kid. It was always on.
Do you remember the first time you heard something that you were like, that's fantastic, I want to go buy that album? Like, was it the first album you may have bought, perhaps? With all that kind of stuff going on, do you remember like one thing in particular that you heard and like, yep, that's it, that's what's got me?
I remember, I was actually just talking about this a couple days ago with someone. I remember the first CD I ever bought. My father always took me to Tower Records every Tuesday when the new stuff would drop.
Nice.
And I remember because my dad was listening to Zeppelin one day, and I remember he was excited about this new compilation called Led Zeppelin BBC Sessions. And it was essentially just all these B-sides and rough takes of their stuff. And I just remember hearing the song Dazed and Confused and just losing my mind and how well it sounded on the drums and everything. Because I'm a drummer, and as like a song that made me want to go out and get something. That was my first time. That was definitely up there.
How many instruments do you play?
I played the drums. I wish I still could. I live in an apartment now, but
Yeah.
Sucks. But I played the drums mainly for over 24 years. I am learning piano, and I love piano, something I've always wanted to learn. And my mother tried to give me lessons when I was younger, and I unfortunately was more concerned about Sonic the Hedgehog 3
Yeah, right.
freaking video games and bass.
Okay. Because I've seen you on the Instagram, and again, I've seen it, but for those that are hanging out watching, that maybe not. What is your Instagram, real quick, so people can follow you? By the way.
Oh, Louse in House, LOUSEINHOUSE.
Okay.
Yeah.
There it is. I'm going to put it up. If there's anybody, if you're hanging out watching and you want to follow Lewis on his Instagram, or Lou or Joe, fuck it, call him what you want.
Thanks,
just follow him on his Instagram. You can also check out when he posts when he's his latest Spotify podcast is up as well. So I'll throw that out there for people to see on the screen. And also too, if there's the folks that aren't watching, if you do have any questions, by all means, type them in the chat. I can pop them up on the screen so we can both see them. And of course we will answer them. So there you go.
Cool.
So did you say to your folks like, hey, mom and dad, I want to take drum lessons?
I never took lessons.
No. Wow.
No, I never took lessons. My dad was a drummer, and I don't want to sound cocky at all, because I just got on I remember the first time I got on a drum set, and when I got interested, it was at a place called the New York Pizza Factory in Ridgewood, and they used to have jazz nights. And me and my buddy would just walk down the street, and I would hear the band. I'd be like, "Holy cow, these guys are incredible!" And one night I went in when they were closing up, and I asked to get on the drum set. And for some reason, like I wasn't obviously accomplished or like a prodigy or anything, but it just felt right, and I knew like the basics of it, and I just fell in love with it. And no, I never got lessons, but I got my first kit when I was 7 years old. You know, and they were I was very lucky to have supportive parents with art. You know, very lucky.
I like how you put it too. You said they were supportive with art. It wasn't just like you were making noise or anything. They realized that music is an art, and they're like, "All right, let's help our kid out. Let's get him some drums."
And therapeutic.
Yeah. Did you use the drums when you would get? I mean, we don't have to get too deep, but like, you ever have like a bad day and you just start banging on the drum?
Another thing, that's not only did I love just playing for the fun. You know, it's fun learning a song and playing along to it. But you know, if I was really down or something like that, I would have a certain, you know, well, back then I was taking CDs out of my Discman and stuff and changing, but it's so much easier now with computer playlists. But yeah, it was so get my anger out or just try and get through a rough time in my life. It was, I miss it. And I miss it mostly for that reason.
Would you say that drums are your favorite of the three instruments that you play?
Yeah.
Okay.
Very much.
And so when was the last time you played?
The last time I really played, like regularly, was in 2015. And my dad, we didn't really grow up really wealthy. And my dad kept us in Ridgewood. I know Ridgewood is a very wealthy town, but my mother and father were kind of grandfathered in this one section of town, you know, low rent and everything like that. We grew up in a two-family house. But I remember my dad this was a year before he passed away, and he was like, "Look, I have nowhere to turn to. I need money." So I volunteered selling my drum set to help him out.
All right.
So, and you know, because I told him, you know, I was like, "Listen, you know, drums, you know, they're always going to be with me. You know what I mean? And my love for drums is always going to be with me. You know, so let's worry about eating and keeping the lights on.
Yeah,
you know
right.
what I mean? So
yeah.
It wouldn't be cool drumming in the dark either. So,
yeah. or drumming hungry. That's not going to be fun. In the dark and hungry drumming doesn't get you anywhere. Gets you nowhere.
Yeah. Do
you remember the first concert you ever went to?
Oh, again, Page and Plant, 1998 at the Continental Airlines Arena in Rutherford, New Jersey.
How old were you in 98?
Oh, God, let's see, 86.
Well, hold on. This is just for me personally. How old are you now?
I'm 34.
Fuck you.
But, no, God, so I must have been 12?
Okay.
11 or 12 years old, and it was loud. And Jason Bonham was on the drums that night. And I remember, because I was watching MTV a lot in those days, John Norris, who was, I don't know what you would call him. I think he did MTV News or something.
Mm-hmm.
You remember John Norris?
Vaguely, yeah.
Yeah, he played bass that show.
Oh, no kidding. Okay.
Which is pretty cool.
All right.
But if you want to get technical, I guess my first concert was when my dad took me and my friends to see Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles coming out of their shells tour at Radio City Music Hall. I was 4 years old.
Coming out of their shells.
I'm telling you, Brad, it's so funny. The whole thing is actually up on YouTube.
I'm sure it is. Look. I think my kid's first concert was Kids Bop at Sesame Place like 4 years ago. So
nice.
You got to start somewhere, man. I get it.
Were they allowed to mosh?
Oh, totally. My youngest was the one that started the pit. And then she flipped everybody the bird when security came over and dragged her out. And I was like, that's not my kid. She one swift right hook to Big Bird. And I said, you're on your own, kid. You got to go. So anyway, all right. So first concerts. What was the last concert that you've been to? with COVID and all. I know it's probably been a while.
Radiohead.
Okay. Is there anyone you haven't seen yet that you're dying to?
Well, I'm actually going next month to Dave Matthews Band at PNC. And we were just because you know what's crazy about Dave Matthews Band? I'm more of like a hard rock kind of guy and older rock guy, but Dave Matthews Band always Carter Buford's my favorite drummer, but they're not. It's just weird. They're not my favorite band.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah.
So it's that kind of thing. I kind of want to go, and the tickets were cheap. We're like, hey, let's just go. Let's go to a concert. You know what I mean? It's close. It's outside. Yeah. So it was only like $30 for the lawn. So I'm going to do that. I just want to, because they are a great band. I wouldn't consider them one of my favorites, but I do enjoy them.
Yeah, I always said about Dave Matthews, like I never really got into them, but I mean, there's absolutely no denying the musicianship of everyone in the band, including Buford and dude, the violinist. I don't know all of their names, but
me neither.
They're just sick players. I mean, you can't deny that.
Oh yeah, I'm looking forward to that. You're right. It's gonna be a good show.
So we know you got the love for music, and I definitely want to touch base on the comedy stuff because I'm right there with you on a lot of it. And of course, you've got the flag right behind you of George Carlin.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure that you and I are on the same boat when it comes to the 7 words you're not supposed to say.
Yes.
And use them rather frequently. And I won't use them all here today, but if you do, that's cool. So again, growing up with the musical influence from your parents, what happened? Not what happened, but how did the comedy thing begin for you?
The comedy thing began with my aunt, my mother's sister, pretty much dressing me up in my mother's clothes and making fun of her when she would get home from work.
Yep.
I was like 3 or 4 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And I would just like kind of do impressions of her and my father. And once I saw that response of laughter like that from others in the family, like that made me feel really, really good. And yeah, I mean, definitely that. And I'm so many comedy influencers, so many comedic influences rather, but that's pretty much how it started. And the TV, we had no censorship in the house. My mom and dad let us watch whatever. They had HBO, and we would watch. I remember it would get really late. This is kind of a little old school story. We had one of those old school entertainment centers with the glass doors.
Oh, nice. Classic. Yep.
And that was in the living room, and my sister and I shared a room for a while when we were younger. And my aunt got her and I hooked on In Living Color.
Oh.
And that would be on super late. And we would just open the glass door and tilt the TV on so we could see the reflection of it and turn it up loud, but we were technically still in our rooms. You know what I mean? Yeah, and Living Color was huge for me. And a lot of the Nick at Night, too. Remember Nick at Night back then? What a great lineup of the old shows.
What are some of your favorite comedic shows? I'd say within the last 10 years, but just I won't even put a timeline on it. Just what are some of your favorites?
Favorites? That's tough. Well, I mean, last 10 years.
In general, you don't even have to figure out 10 years.
Right.
Just whatever.
Well, the first time I fell in love and was enamored with comedy, like really. I mean, George Carlin, obviously, when I was really young, my father and my mother watched the HBO specials, but TV shows, the Tom Green Show, when fellow Canadian, by the way.
Yes. Shout out to Tom Green.
And once he got to MTV, that was a wrap. Like that, it made me laugh so hard. It was so original and outrageous. And that show really gave me the thought of like, I want to start trying something like this, you know? Right. And MTV was really big back in the day with some of my influences, like Beavis and Butthead was hysterical. And I think it gets funnier when you get older.
Sure.
Honest opinion. But Tom Green, the Tom Green Show, South Park.
Of course.
I watched it the first night it aired. I had a weird summer cold or like a stomach bug, and my mom was working late, and my dad was up, and he was a huge Monty Python fan.
Of course.
And, yeah, and he looked at the animation and was very Terry Gilliam-ish, and you know, we found out later that Trey and Matt were influenced by Monty Python as well. But he's like, Lou, I know you're not feeling good. Why don't you check out this show that's coming on tonight? I saw a commercial for, and I was sick, and it was Cartman gets an anal probe, and that was a wrap.
When your dad tells you, dude, watch South Park, you'll be fine.
Yeah.
That's pretty telling, man. That's pretty awesome.
So, yeah.
Now,
go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, him and I have really sick senses of humor. So.
No, it's great, dude. It's hysterical. So, speaking of your dad, and I don't know if this is based off of him or it's a little bit of a glorification of your ethnicity, but there's one of these things that you do. I swear, he does these impressions. It's like the real people. You do the Italian guy. What was it last week? You were bitching about your cookies being out under the light. Your chocolate chip cookies, was it the Chips Ahoy?
Yeah.
Right. Like I've actually showed that to Stacy, my girlfriend, and dude, I think it's fucking hysterical. Like, where does that character come from?
Thank you. That comes from that's a combination of my father and Tony Soprano with the voice, and my just my overall general stereotypical, like over exaggerated New Jersey Italian. So
could I put you on the spot for a minute?
Sure.
Because what happens is when this is done being recorded, it stays on my Twitch channel, and people can go back and watch it, and update it, upload it to the YouTube, and all that kind of stuff. So some folks will see it. So can you do a little reenactment of the whole chocolate chip cookie thing, or whatever you want? I don't want to put you too much on the spot. It's really just the voice that I really like so much. You can say no. It's okay.
Again, it was because my father used to talk like that about things. He was very meticulous about certain things that really didn't matter.
Right.
So, I did come home one day, and I saw it was hot in the kitchen because I left the window open, and the sun was beating on the cookies all day. So, and my dad was like, I'll tell you something right now. All this fucking money I spent, you got to make sure you take care of your food products. Make sure they're stored in. Otherwise, you got to throw it out. You got to throw it out in two fucking dish. And the sun, what happens with the sunbeams, it penetrates through the cellophane, because it's cellophane now with Nabisco. But many years ago, it wasn't cellophane. When I was younger, 1981, I had my first Oreo cookie. And that was a good time, 1981, let me tell you.
It becomes a whole thing, right?
Yeah.
Dude, I fucking love it.
I had my first fucking Oreo cookie. It was like the seal of construction paper almost. Very, very safe with construction paper. But it ripped a lot of the flavor out of the morsels now.
Oh my God!
You can't even fucking enjoy them anymore.
I see the Tony Soprano influence there too.
A little bit, yeah.
Just like when you posted the clip of him on Saturday Night Live with Tina Fey, and she said something to him, and he's like, "Oh, sweetheart," or no. He made a joke about McGreevy, I think it was.
Yeah.
And he had the smile and the laugh, and he was so proud that he was able to get that line out. Do you remember what the line was by chance?
He's like, well, I don't want to go on and keep going on about this McGreevy guy, but he sort of got you fanook. Every married guy's got a little action on the side. In this case, in the behind.
That's what it was, yeah. Yeah. And he was so proud, right? He was jolly.
Yeah. He was like a little kid.
Just laughing. Yeah.
But yeah, a lot of that, the voice comes from Tony Soprano and my father too, because there's this video I recorded of my father. He was so excited when he got these galvanized garbage cans. It was like one of the happiest moments I've ever seen him, because he was so sick of getting the crap plastic ones and having the raccoons and the critters destroy them.
Yeah.
He's like, these galvanized cans, I told everyone in the house, no one's allowed to do the garbage anymore. I'm the garbage guy now. And he bought like those bungee cords to wrap it. It was a project. He loved it.
Yeah, yeah.
The little things.
Yeah, exactly. It is a little thing. I'm sorry to put you on the spot like that with doing that whole impression, but it is one of my
That's fine. Not a problem at all.
I hope. Side note: I hope Kyle and George are watching this because I want to eventually. I want to know what the deal is with the waffle guys. Is it the waffle? What is it? The waffle something?
Waffle Brothel. They Kyle, you know Kyle obviously,
I
and
love Kyle.
yeah, Kyle's a great guy, very funny.
Yeah,
And I met his two friends, Jeremy and Artie, at his birthday party a few weeks ago, and we're like telling about my podcast and stuff, and Kyle was telling me how they used to have a channel, and now they're bringing it back. So,
oh, nice.
yeah, which is great, you know. And we decided to do. I recorded my podcast, and they recorded their show visually the same night. So it was like a twofer. It was really fun, really fun.
Do they? Is it going to be on Spotify as well?
Their stuff?
Yeah.
I don't think so yet. I know they want to. I think it's mostly just going to be YouTube right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have a question about Spotify because when I saw that you were on there, I was like, "That's cool. I didn't know you could do that." And this is more for me than anything, but how did you? I mean, what made you decide Spotify in the first place? But second of all, is it? And no disrespect, please. I don't mean any.
Got it.
Is it easy just to upload stuff onto Spotify once you create an account?
Well, to answer your question, why I went to Spotify first, that was my last choice. I actually didn't want to do Spotify.
Oh.
But I wanted to do YouTube. And I couldn't, I just think I have a problem with the space on my laptop, and it just wouldn't let me convert my audios into video format to upload it to YouTube. So YouTube channel is going to be coming soon, but I'm still going to keep Spotify. And so that's why I went to Spotify. Because to answer your question, yeah, it is very simple process, but you have to, excuse me, I'm burping, but
good.
You have to sign up for a year. You pay like $100, and it's for the whole year. You get yourself registered on this RSS website, which is where you're able to upload your episodes, and then you get the RSS feed for that specific episode you upload, and then you go to the Spotify website, you upload it on there, you claim your podcast, you get a password in your email, and then it uploads. It takes about half an hour.
That's it, huh?
Yeah.
Look at that. There you are.
Yes.
On the Spotify.
Looking very chic.
I love it. What was the motivation for the photograph of you just staring at the microphone?
I don't know, to be honest with you. I just wanted, it really just came out of urgency, you know? Like I just wanted, I was so passionate about the idea of doing it. I just wanted to take, I didn't have anyone to take a picture at the time. I was living with my roommate at the time, but he left. I would have had him help me out, but I just think it's simple, you know, and it's someone, they're just looking at a mic, and you know, the mic, in my opinion, kind of looks like to me, it could be a person, you know, like I'm talking to someone and I'm really into it. So there was nothing really artistic motivator about it.
Are you saying I gave you too much credit on that?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
You're going to find out. You're going to find out that I'm not very deep.
Yeah, they'll just shit the whole bed on the whole interview. Thanks. Go fuck yourself. No, I'm kidding.
So
I just like to say angry things. I'm sorry.
I always felt with creating anything, whether it be a podcast or a stupid short comedy video I'll do on my Instagram, or a song, like a funny song, all right. I always try to put a lot of pressure on myself to get it done as quickly as possible.
Mm-hmm.
And that motivates me. And I kind of take that lesson from Trey Parker and Matt Stone, the creators of South Park, because they're on such a timeline, and their show is so unique how it's done. They get a show done in 6 days. Animation, voice, script, music, composing, all of this stuff. And I always admired that as far as using that kind of setting to create something. And because I always found if I took too much time with something, I would just keep second guessing, and it wouldn't seem as organic to me. This is just to me.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, a lot of the stuff I put up is kind of shoddy and not really well shot cinematically or anything. But I just feel it's more, I have to get it out there. That's my main mission. You know what I mean?
Do they send you analytics after a podcast has been updated or uploaded? Excuse me, just to let you know that it's reached so many listeners or anything along those lines.
It does. It's like YouTube in that regard. It's if it gives you age demographics as well. It gives you male or female. It gives you how many plays. Yeah, so it does give you analytics. It's very, very cool.
That's cool. Yeah. One of the episodes that I did listen to was the, I think it's the pubes and pubes and owl pellets. Episode 8. Yeah, because, and I'll tell you why. Because I listened to it, and because I do follow you on Instagram, I saw a picture of you out at Jalapenos with a nice-looking young lady in your arm and everything. And then it was like a day or two after I saw that post, I listened to that episode, and you were talking about the date situation. And I thought maybe, like, I almost felt like I had an in, like I knew who you were talking about. I could be totally wrong, and I'm sure I am. But to hear that story of, like, so we go out, and, you know, we're hanging out, and I'm telling her I don't want anything too serious. I forget exactly now, but it was pretty entertaining. I'm not going to lie.
Thanks. Thank you. Well, I like being brutally honest.
Yeah.
On the show. And to that end, I actually got a cease and desist letter from my ex.
No kidding.
In regards to one of the episodes. Yeah. What
episode was that?
I don't remember exactly. I think it might have been, oh God. I think it might have been heat advisories and happy endings.
Episode 6, okay.
I think it might be that one, but the thing is, you know, if you and I are doing this, we're public, you know what I mean? When it comes to,
yeah,
we gotta be careful with last names.
Correct.
You know, so I didn't use her last name or anything like that. And she was just pissed because I was making fun of her vagina and stuff.
I don't understand why that would bother her.
Yeah, I don't, you know, you gotta, you know, she almost canceled me. I almost got canceled, Brad.
Oh my God. What a shame.
Well, I'm
sure that's for a reason, but yeah, I dig that you're brutally honest, and it's entertaining. I got to be honest. I do. I find it very, very entertaining.
Thanks a lot.
So yeah, so anybody that is on the Spotify, make sure that you, especially now that you know that the little the cease and desist letter came out from the ex, you got to go listen to episode 6.
I think it's episode 6. I think that's it.
Right.
Or one heat
and happy endings.
Oh yeah, that was yeah, those were the main topics of that episode. We were going through a brutal heat wave during that time, and during that time I got my first happy ending, which was quite an experience. And
here you go. Let's compare notes. I'm kidding. I'm kidding because I know my girlfriend's watching. I'm just fucking around.
Well, actually, about this place, it was actually shut down before, and in one location, and now they opened up at a new location, and yeah, so we very happy about that.
No pun intended. Yeah.
Yeah.
One time, I'll tell you a story about going to a little rub and tug place.
Nice.
I was with said girlfriend, and we wanted to go get legit massages. Not like you know we're gonna get like an erotic massage together. We just like, yeah, you want to get a massage? Like, yeah, cool. And so we found, I forget where it was in Jersey, but we found a place, and we got there, and we're like, yeah, there's something up about this place. Like, it's not. I mean, it had. Without going into too much detail, it had all the typical elements of one of those places.
Mm-hmm.
Everything from the decor to the staff, you just knew like it wasn't all up and up. Plus, when we were standing there waiting for our masseuse, my girlfriend was the only girl in the place other than those that were working there. and so like when all these dudes were walking in and then they saw her and I, and then they're like, oh, and then they'd walk out because like they clearly were a little bit embarrassed.
I'll tell you, yeah, when I went, it was everything I kind of expected it to be. Like you pay, and my buddy told me, like, you have to say when you pay, like, have you been here before? So even though I haven't, it was my first time. I was like, yes, I've been here before, and I paid. And they do this, and they do. I'll run out.
Oh my God! It's
yeah. It's like that scene in Man on the Moon when Jim Carrey's at the whorehouse, and he gets to pay. Quite an experience.
So that experience kind of like influenced you in the podcast, or was that just like it was one of those days you just got your first happy ending, you're just happy again?
Yeah, I was. You know, I think it was a couple days later, and then I talked about it because, yeah, it was just neat.
You know who it reminds me of? It was neat. Like it's a scotch in a nice fancy. It's like a neat scotch. Neat.
Yeah.
It reminds me of Jimmy Norton. Do you know who Jim Norton is? Do you know who Jim is?
The comedian, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Jim's great.
I'm not saying you're at that degree of debauchery, but I respect the openness about it. And he's very, very open. He has no problem telling people what he's into, what he does, what he's done in the past. It's pretty good stuff. It's good stuff.
I believe it's a waste. I mean, there's obviously certain things we all don't want to talk about or open up with, but I think it's a waste. If you're doing a kind of, I don't know, we call it comedic podcast or entertainment podcast, whatever. I think it's a waste to not be honest, because I think you're robbing yourself of freedom, creative freedom, and I think it robs the audience. I had a guest on my show. We were doing a trial run before we did it, and he was very guarded, and he just wanted to protect his image, you know, I mean, a little bit too much, I think, and I gave him the gist. I'm like, this is a comedy show. We'll try and be a comedy show anyway. And so I believe that's where real comedy comes from. I mean, there's times where we outline topics. We don't write a script or anything, but we outline topics. And yeah, I just that's how I always felt. And I understand being guarded and protecting yourself if you have family and your job and all that stuff like that. But
sure.
Anyway.
All right, so let's go back a little bit. Now, the other thing about you is that you've actually legitimately done stand-up comedy.
Yeah.
How did that come about? How did you get started? I mean, there's so many questions, but let's start from the beginning.
Well, yeah, stand-up started. This was after high school, and I, you know, like I said, all that mattered to me in high school and like middle school was just comedy. Late Night with Conan O'Brien, George Carlin, South Park, Family Guy, so many other shows. And that's really all that mattered to me.
Right.
And Seinfeld, obviously, I love Seinfeld too. And there was a good boom of stand-up at that time. And I said, you know what, I want to give it a shot. And because I was a big George Carlin head, I was doing construction in the city, and we passed a comedy club one day, the famous comic strip on the Upper East Side.
Mm-hmm.
And I walked in there one day on my lunch because we were working on a building around the corner, and I went up to the person like, so what does it take to start performing? Like open mics, I'm assuming, and they said it seemed like impossible. You know what I mean? I was younger, and you have this vision of these comedy clubs for like professionals, you know, only professionals. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And which they are, but it's nice because they had an avenue and spots for open micers, which I essentially was for a while.
Sure.
And it's great, you know. It's great for, you know, you're with fellow comedians who are just starting out too, and it was a great community. I remember my first set because I wanted to kind of go like on a George Carlin rant. That was kind of the style I kind of wanted to go for. And they were like, "Who do you think you are?"
Right. Comedians will call you out real quick, right? If they sense any kind, not bullshit, but if they sense any kind of non-originality.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And it was definitely his style I kind of wanted to emulate that inspired my stuff. But I remember, like, you know, it's a whole thing. There's a whole system. It's 5 minutes. You're starting out. You're set. You should have a good solid 5 minutes. You should be topical and also personal at the same time, and be quick. Learn to pause for laughter, and it's definitely a craft. It's definitely a craft, and I respect comedians very much. And I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No. Go ahead. Go ahead.
No. So I started out doing open mics a lot, and what kind of bugged me about it, but I also understood, was you had to pay to perform.
Oh, I didn't know that.
At certain clubs in New York, you had to pay to perform, and you had to bring a good amount of people, and they had to at least have a 2-drink minimum.
Sure, of course.
And that's how the clubs stay alive. Really. Yeah. You know? So, I mean, it was difficult for me to do that because I lived in New Jersey and I had to get all these people from Jersey every night. And I started, and, you know, I listened to other comedians who were more experienced, really funny people I worked with. And I learned how to, you know, write jokes and how to set it up in 5 minutes. And I bombed plenty. Trust me. I bombed plenty of times. That's one of the worst feelings in the world. But yeah, it was fun. I really enjoyed it. I did it for about 5 to 6 years, and I started getting paid on the amateur kind of. They call it like the amateur set group, I guess, because they would have a bunch of amateurs before the pros.
Okay.
So, but I gave up. I just felt that stand-up. Like, I listened to Will Ferrell talk about this too, who's also one of my comedy heroes. He did stand up, and he didn't really enjoy it.
Right.
And if you look at Will Ferrell, you think sketch comedy.
Sure.
You know, and that's like my ultimate dream. I would love to have a sketch comedy show.
Right.
And Chris Farley too will even say the same thing. Chris Farley even said that he's tried stand up, and he obviously got a lot of laughs because he's a genius. Both of them are, but they said it just wasn't in their wheelhouse. They felt more comfortable with sketch, and they felt that they felt more free as artists, and they just enjoyed it more.
I always found it interesting, like you said, you know, like a guy like Will Ferrell, he's great in the sketches, he's good in the movies, but again, I've never seen him really do any kind of stand-up stuff. You know, he did something at the Smithsonian, pre-written, hysterical. Right?
Oh, that was that at the Kennedy Arts Center?
Yes, thank you. I said Smithsonian, I'm a moron, but yeah, that's what I meant.
Oh, that was so good. You're so right. I love that.
And for anyone who hasn't seen that, I mean, there's 3 in particular that stand out for me. The one is Will Ferrell, Eddie Murphy, and Dave Chappelle, which kind of goes without saying.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, they're all geniuses in their own right, for sure. But yeah, sometimes they're just funny people on movie and TV screen and sketch comedy don't necessarily hack it out doing the stand-up thing, you know, and sometimes it goes the other way. They come from the stand-up world, and then boom, they take off and they make movies. Like, I think Eddie Murphy's a great example of that, right? He was a stand-up. He did Saturday Night Live, but he was a real stand-up guy. Pause. And then, right. And then he started doing all the movies, but you know, then Dolomite kind of came out a few years ago, and he was right before COVID hit. If you saw him on Comedians in Cars Drinking Coffee, he was ready. He said he was going to make a comeback on the stand-up thing, you know.
I would love nothing more. He is movies, sketch, and stand-up. He was just everything. And he started actually at the comic strip, believe it or not.
Dude, him and I'm sure you've heard the story. Him and Jerry Seinfeld started the same day in comedy.
Yeah, isn't that unreal?
It's phenomenal. And like, their careers were literally parallel to each other. I mean, starting on the same day. I don't remember if it is the same place or not, but Like literally, yeah. I think it was the same day and the same lineup. One went before the other, and for the first time ever. And then, I mean, fair to say, the rest is history.
That stuff just always fascinated me.
Yeah,
Music,
yeah.
movies, television, like rock magazines. It still encapsulates my whole life, and it's what I'm just mostly interested in, and that's why I was terrible in school. And I mean, watching George Carlin being young and like, because when he got older, he was like challenge authority, question authority, and it's just like I was like, fuck you, man. You know, Shakespeare, Stratton upon Avon. Who cares where he lives? So
there you go. There's my buddy Eli in Toronto. He's got a big brain. There you go. Both were at Catch a Rising Star when they started together.
Yeah, which is no longer there anymore.
It's a shame, right?
That was Catch a Rising Star. That was a really big place, just as big as a comic strip, and Caroline's too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Catch was really big. Larry David started there too. A lot of people.
Well, even last night, I mean, I told you, I went out last night to watch a buddy of mine play Comedy Store, Mitzi Shore's place. Yes, Eli. Those people all know each other. You know what I'm saying there? Well, you know what I'm saying. I can say that because Eli's a good friend. But so last night I was at a place called the Olive Tree, which is actually upstairs from the Comedy Cellar, which if you follow comedy and you know anything about comedy whatsoever, Comedy Cellar in New York is huge. I mean, anybody has ever gone through comedy has gone through there. And just as luck would have it, last night was Al Franken was there, which is cool, right? Because we're there to watch my buddy play. It's all tied together. Comedy Cellar's downstairs, the Olive Tree's upstairs, but it's all connected. If you got to go to the ladies or men's room, you got to go downstairs to the Comedy Cellar. So my friend who was with me hanging out, she's like, oh, I got to go to the ladies' room. She goes downstairs. She says to the bouncer, where's the ladies' room? And I'll get to my point. He goes, oh, it's just across over that way. And she's like, so I got to go in front of the stage to get to the ladies' room? He's like, yeah, if you want to pee. So she had to walk in front of Al Franken at the Comedy Cellar doing his bit or his act just to go pee. Yeah. And then, but that's part of what my point is like, I was hoping that going there that we would see somebody.
Right.
Because
yeah.
I've seen the Seinfeld documentary, so many comedy documentaries. The Aristocrats is another one. Or even bumping mics with Dave Attell and Jeff Ross. And I'll shut up eventually, I promise.
No, there's great comedy documentaries out there.
Right? Yeah. But a lot of it is hanging out at the Comedy Cellar, sometimes going in, trying out some new material at 2 a.m. after all the scheduled acts are done. And either in between sets or afterwards, they just went upstairs and hung out at that same place, the Olive Tree. So
that's awesome.
When I saw Al Franken walk in, I was like, holy shit, it's Al Franken. Like, he's Senator Al Franken for one, but like, and then I texted my girl Stacy, and then I'm like, dude, Al Franken just walked in, and she's like, oh, Jack Handy, Deep Thoughts, right? And then you think about Stewart. I like me because like that
was one of my favorite bits ever with Stuart Smalley.
Legendary.
He just nailed it. He just created such a great character and chose such great mannerisms and a voice. I'm blown away by that character to this day.
Yeah. And then shortly thereafter, Robert Kelly walked in. Do you know who Robert Kelly is?
Yeah, didn't he get a start with Dane Cook, I think, when they started touring together? Is that kind of how he got big?
That's the guy, yeah.
He's funny.
And he's been on Opie and Anthony. He's been on Sirius. He walked in, and he made me feel skinny, so that was cool. And yeah. But he walked in, and I was like, Bobby! And he doesn't know who's yelling at him. It's a crowded bar, but I didn't give a shit. I yelled. I was that guy, but whatever. But anyway, that's my point. You're at the Comedy Cellar or upstairs from it. You're bound to see somebody.
Yeah. And that's a great thing, too, because as far as comedians, because these big-time comedians, if they can walk into any comedy club that they feel like wanting to test out new material, and someone will get bumped, and that's a pretty cool kind of stature to have.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? The whole city is your oyster, so to speak. And I remember I left the comic strip one night after me and my buddy's sets, and he lived in the city. I said, dude, stick around, and we'll have a few drinks and watch the other acts. I leave 5 minutes later. Chris Rock walks in with a huge notebook, and he does an hour and a half with the crowd that stayed.
Wow.
I was so pissed, man, because
Yeah.
seeing, I mean, a professional and a great funny comedian like that, like trying out new stuff, like for the first time, like that's something I've always wanted to see, and I missed it.
I think the Seinfeld documentary Comedian showed him going up on random stages throughout the country with notepads and post-its, just trying stuff out, seeing if it works. What's the deal with round? Whatever. That is a bad Seinfeld, but you get the idea. And then my friend Eli Katz, who is in the chat here watching us, he too is also a writer, and he writes a lot of interesting bits. I'll say that he's a funny guy, not just funny looking. But yeah, once the clubs open up in Toronto, I'm sure he'll get up there and do some stuff.
How's the comedy scene in Toronto?
Dude, I would say I haven't been there in a long time, but Eli or Lazarus, if you guys want to jump in, and I want to get to his comment too about Carrot Top. Yuck Yucks is huge in the Toronto area. Montreal, you've got the Just for Laughs Comedy Festival, which is now owned by Howie Mandel, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, Montreal. Yeah, I know Montreal has that big comedy festival every year.
So, I mean, growing up, think about it. Like growing up in Toronto, you had the Jim Carreys, Howie Mandel started off with like a local, was it Howie Mandel had a show in Canada before he got really, really, really big?
I didn't even know Howie Mandel was Canadian.
Oh, yes, sir.
Wow.
Yeah, Eli is an absolute comedy guy, as he said. Yeah, there you go.
Nice.
So he's not just a funny looking dude, but he says Toronto Jew. Again, I'm just repeating what he said.
One of my lamest jokes ever, DJ Katz, was actually about Jerry, as a horrible Jerry Seinfeld impression, and people loved it, and I hated it because it was so lame. But one of my first jokes that actually really landed was, and this is when MySpace was still big.
Wow.
I was like, what would Jerry Seinfeld say if he had a MySpace? Like, what's the deal with MySpace? There's millions of people on MySpace. It's not really mine then, is it? There are too many people on MySpace. I need MySpace. And people loved it. I was like, oh, I cringe at it now. So,
I remember we did a promo for jalapenos for Thanksgiving Eve a few years ago. Do you remember where you were doing the whole Seinfeld bit? I think Kyle the one that edited it together?
Yeah.
And there you go. My friend Sarah says it sounded just like Jerry.
Oh, thank you very much.
He does these impressions like the real people. But I remember you did a whole Seinfeld bit. Kyle edited it together, and I was like the angry fan booing you at my table.
Because we wanted to make the jokes. At the time. You were perfect. We made it jokes that are just so bad and so obvious and so blunt. I don't remember what they are.
Oh, it's good stuff. So where does Carrot Top fit in?
Can I go take a leak and come right back?
You can do whatever you want.
Does that happen on your show sometimes?
It's never happened before. It's never, don't do it on camera. That's cool. Go do your thing. I'll just talk to the people in my chat room. It's all good. So Fallon stands no chance. The vegetable part. What is that? Porch, Eli? Oh, patch is where Carrot Top belongs. Look, I like Carrot Top. One of the greatest or funniest things I ever heard about Carrot Top, or a joke again, or a burn, or whatever you want to call it, roast. He was on the roast for Bridget Nielsen. No. He was on the roast for Flavor Flav. And Greg Giraldo, the comic, got up and he said, "You are," and he was roasting Bridget Nielsen during his spot. Pause. And he said, "Man, you are one ugly woman." And he said, "I'm talking about you, Carrot Top. How the hell did you get your plastic surgeon to remove a chromosome?" Again, his delivery was a lot better than mine, but I'm not going to lie. I thought it was pretty damn funny. So I think Carrot Top is a funny dude. Some people don't take him seriously. Thank you, Lazarus, for that one. We're not on a commercial break. I'm stalling. So I was talking about Carrot Top. I think he's a funny dude. The Botox I could do without. He looks freaky that way, but he's jacked up. I'll give him that. He's
Did
all
he get Botox?
What's that?
Did he get Botox?
Oh, dude, he's hideous.
Two things about Carrot Top. One of the greatest actual comedy documentaries, believe it or not, was made by Jamie Kennedy, and it's called Heckler. And he just interviews all these comedians about their heckling experiences. And Carrot Top was on there, and they kind of interviewed him late in the film because he was like the #1 people go to describe like hacky comedy. But Carrot Top's not the worst. He's not the worst. I don't know why he got so much shit.
Yeah. I look, I find the guy funny. And a side note, I'm good with a little heckling now and then. But yeah, I think he's a funny guy. Look, people bust his balls about prop comics, but then Jeff Dunham does puppets, right? I mean, it doesn't have to be your thing, but he does. What did he win? Star Search or whatever it is, and he's massive now. You know,
yeah. Especially in the South. Really big.
So, who would you say is the worst, in your opinion? Who would be the worst?
Who I think is the worst stand-up?
Yeah,
comedian.
Yeah.
Oh God. You know what's crazy? Because there are a bunch I do not like at all.
Louis C.K. Yes or no?
I love Louis.
Okay.
Sorry.
Did you hear his latest since coming back from his whole scandal?
I bought it.
The man's a genius, right?
He absolutely is. And oh yeah, you know who I can't stand? Pete Davidson.
Don't like him. Okay.
I think he does great on Weekend Update with his bits on that, but I've seen his stand-up before, and I wouldn't say he's the worst comedian, but I'm not a fan of his stand-up at all. I don't get the allure.
Right.
I mean, and God, that's a really, because there's so many that I've watched and that I like.
Can I add to that as well?
Go ahead.
Michael Che. I think Michael Che, who does Weekend Update on SNL right now with Colin Jost, whatever, and they're funny. I saw Michael Che's stand-up special on Netflix. Couldn't watch it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just one of those things, and I'm not, whatever, man. I'll watch just about everything and anything, but like give 15, 20 minutes. Like, I can't watch Kevin Hart anymore. I love old school, like before he got too big for his own pants, Kevin Hart, like his impersonation of Shaquille O'Neal, great stuff.
Yeah.
But I almost find like, and I dare say, like even Chappelle, his last few specials on Netflix, he's a genius. He's great at what he does. But when he gets too serious or philosophical, and I notice Kevin Hart does that too, they're hard workers and they deserve everything they got. Don't get me wrong. But anyway, I just want to be funny. I'm simple. I'm a simple dude, right? I just want funny. That's all.
Yeah, and I think Dave's gotten a little too pompous. You know, with all the acclaim and everything. And that's never been a quality I like. I don't think anyone likes anyone being pompous and egotistical. And he does mention that a lot in his shows and his awards acceptance speeches and stuff. But dude, I mean, Killing Them Softly in 2000, that comedy special is one of the funniest things I've ever seen.
Sure.
He's definitely I would consider him on the Mount Rushmore of stand-ups. I would consider him. I would put Louis C.K. up there too.
Okay.
And I'd put Carlin and Pryor.
Did you listen to a lot of Pryor growing up?
Richard Pryor. My parents didn't have a lot of his records. They had a lot of his VHS tapes, and his famous one where he's not in the red suit, but just the red shirt.
Okay, yeah.
And he's just sweating throughout the whole performance. And it's just the variety and the voice changes. And there's just one sketch where just one bit where he's talking about going hunting with his father, and he does the impression of a deer, right? And it's just like the most spot on impression of an animal I've ever seen. And it's hysterical. Little things like that too.
And so my friend Eli again brings up a good point. What about Bill Cosby? Funny fact about, and I'll say this, Eddie Murphy said when he came back to SNL and hosted, and he also said it at the Kennedy Honors, whatever thing it was, he was like, Who'd have thunk that I'd now be a stay-at-home dad with like a million kids, and Bill Cosby would be the one in jail?
Yeah, that's right.
Because back in the day, Bill didn't like Eddie because you the flim, flarn, and filth, and you curse too much.
It says with the stuff from the stomach, and it just is so bad. Oh my god!
So yeah,
horrible Bill
talk
Cosby.
Bill Cosby, but just don't touch me when you do, please.
Can I say something about Bill?
You can say whatever you want.
Want to talk about comedy? That was the first ever stand-up comedy special I ever watched with my mother and father. My sister was called Himself.
Watched it, loved it.
And I'll tell you, I was so little when I watched it. And 4 or 5, my parents loved it. I loved it. I mean, the whole dentist bit kills me. And the whole bit about drinking is funny. But he was talking mostly about parenthood, right?
Yeah.
And I was laughing at it. And I was like 5, 6 years old.
Yeah.
And that to me just kind of stuck with me, like, as I look back on it now, because I do consider it one of my favorite comedy specials of all time. I'm sorry. I don't condone what he did. You know what I mean? But Jerry Seinfeld was even saying, can you separate the art from the human being? And I can.
See, that brings an interesting question, because that can go into obviously not only comedy but music, right? Because then you got the R. Kellys, you got the Michael Jacksons. As a DJ, it's a funny thing because, and then again, I'll shut up because I want to interview you. But
no, I want to hear you too. Tell me what's up.
No, dude. Like, if as a DJ, if I go out and I play any R. Kelly now, because it's happened. People look at you like, dude, what are you doing? I'm like, oh, what are you talking about? Like, the remix to Ignition is a great song, but God forbid you play it because it's R. Kelly and da 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 da. Michael Jackson, we don't know if it's true or not. He's the king of pop, but whatever. Anyway, I digress. You know,
I think more people would be upset with the R. Kelly being played than Michael Jackson, because I think Michael Jackson. Oh, living on video clip. My favorite current comedian is Tom Segura. Tom Segura is very good. Very good.
Fantastic. Yeah.
Really good. Yeah, I think you get away with Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson was it's like Dave Chappelle said in his last special, and I totally agreed with it because I was laughing so hard, because he was talking, he was like, Michael Jackson, I mean, even if he did do it, you know what I mean?
Whatever.
I mean, it's Michael Jackson.
Yeah. Well, it's okay, right? Because you're right. Exactly. Yeah. He's Michael Jackson. Well, in that case, it's cool. Forget about the potential families and the harm that he's caused mentally and the manipulation. It's Michael Jackson. Oh, all right. We'll look over it. We'll get past it.
Look, want to be starting something is about to come on, okay? And I don't want to be starting an argument about kids and anuses, all right?
Right.
I want to dance.
That's right. He bought him homes, and like Eli also says in the chat, who didn't want to be friends with Macaulay Culkin? I mean, come on. He's the Home Alone kid. I wanted to be his friend.
Yeah.
I wanted to be his real Uncle Buck, make him big pancakes, drive him to school. He was a lovable kid.
Yeah.
There you go. It's good to know that Lazarus has a he's got a low I don't know what the word is I'm looking for. What he's saying is he would let Michael Jackson touch him for a house. I get over it.
If it gets me a house without any bills, I'll take a shot in the mouth. I'm the king of pop. I'm just kidding.
It always brings up the old conversation. For $1 million, would you? And I'm just like, nope. Can't believe my show's going this direction, but I don't care now.
Yeah, not a peen. Not a peen. No. Not a peen to the orifice. No, couldn't do it.
No. Would you, another male though, Lou? I know you're a heterosexual guy. Would you, fuck it. We're doing it. So, shot in the mouth is quote of the night. So, for $1 million, if you would be $1 million doesn't even really get you set for life. Would you do something you wouldn't normally do sexually for the money to set you for life? I'm trying to word it nicely, but would you suck another man's dick for $10 million, Lou?
10? Yeah, probably 10.
No, I can't. I can't do it.
Well, it depends. Well, there got to be certain conditions. You know what I mean? He's got to be shaved up there, because I don't want his pubes getting in my nose and tickling my nose while I'm doing it, because then I would just laugh and sneeze.
Really going off the deep end.
Yeah, just as long as there's no ball touching, You know what I mean? And tugging,
Right.
which is really great with the blowy. By the
Can't
way,
do it. 10 million still
10 million
to give.
Fine.
Receive.
Yeah, and look, my whole life, I've never lived comfortably with you know, the thoughts of either getting kicked out of the house because we can't pay rent or living paycheck to paycheck. I'll take it once. Why not?
Yeah.
But I mean, I won't go long. I mean, he's got to come quick. He can't be drunk.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
He's got to be sober, and I don't want to hear any crying, even though that would kind of help me perform better.
Sure.
You know, because I would start crying too, and it would be an emotional thing, and
tears everywhere.
Yeah. Then his kid bullet would hit me right in the mouth.
Kid bullet. Can we hold on? I want to put that on the. Here we go. Of all the things I've ever discussed, kid bullet. There we go. Let's
I was bored at work one day, and I came up with a whole list. I was working at Guitar Center, and it was really slow that day. And I came up with slang terms for semen, and I thought some of them were pretty neat.
Do tell.
Pube mousse.
Okay.
Back paint. Egg syrup.
Nice.
Life juice.
Life juice, of course.
Boner spackle.
Can I just say, Lou, you comes out. That's nice, Lazarus. You're basically talking about we're talking now about all the things that you just think about, right? So go ahead. I'm sorry to interrupt.
No, it's fine. I just, I was thinking of other ones for vaginas too. Like this one was kind of gross, but I liked it. Milk sink was a really good one. A life trap. My favorite one that I didn't make up, but I heard over years. Ham wallet is my favorite.
That's very nice. All right.
I have a whole list somewhere in my library of my studies.
Is this part of some of your bits?
Well, what I talk about on the podcast, yeah. Like I was talking because like that show, Pubes and Owl Pellets. Like I opened up the show. I just got done shaving my pubes, and I got to go get Drano now. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it really kind of costs a lot more financially. I was like, how much is shaving my pubes costing me fiscally?
Right.
And,
right.
Imagine if I called the plumber and, you got a whole bunch of pubes in your goddamn U-trap. So I got to go buy the Drano.
Right. You got to redo your whole budget, right? Your monthly budget. You got to factor in the Drano.
You got to think about these things, Brad. You have to. It's important. But it's kind of weird now because girls are kind of saying now that, they kind of like guys with having some pubes now.
Okay.
So,
is that what's going on these days with the kids? Is that what's happening?
Well, I mean, all the kids I had sex with didn't have pubes, but the older, like the young adults, yeah, that's what they're saying. They like a little bit of hair, like a little bit of a trim, because then some of the girls are like, oh, it looks like a baby boy. But we kind of do that for them. I mean, we do it for us too because things do look more grander. After you shave and go bald down there, but
sure.
I mean, they don't want to have to be flossing pubes out of their teeth, with a guy with a bush the size of buckwheat's hair.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll never forget the day that buckwheat was shot by John David Stutz. That was a very sad day. Yeah. I wish I could go to the videotape and show it like over and over right now. Do you believe that John David Stutz killed buckwheat? Oh, he was a quiet guy. He kept to himself. He didn't bother. But do you believe that he shot? Oh, yeah. He talked about it all the time.
What a great
bit. I didn't mean to digress from the pube talk. But once you say buckwheat.
Yeah, let's get back to what everyone wants to know.
Yeah.
No,
and by the way, living on video, Lazarus, I allowed that I did some self moderation and I put him through, so you're good to go. Because he put in some comments, and Twitch gets very certain things they don't let them to go through on the chat because they don't want to. They don't want to be offensive and all that other kind of stuff.
Oh yeah, that's what's happening with Instagram now too.
I saw you put up a couple posts. What's going on there?
They're just I mean, that's the reason why I left Facebook years ago. But Instagram is kind of censoring certain types of material that people post out there, and that's like strike two for me, because strike one, I'm a music lover, and I used to just love sharing music and music. And it's funny too that we talk about music and comedy and everything. Music is so when I hear a song and I think of like a certain situation, sometimes I'll hear a song and I'll start writing a bit in my head. And because it's kind of like old silent film kind of style, where the music is the comedy, really. And that came from me when the greatest marriage of music and like comedy on film, I think, in my opinion, is the scene from There's Something About Mary, where the dog is like dead on tranquilizers, and he starts giving him mouth to mouth, and he rips the electrical cord out of the light and starts like tries to volt the dog. And this ridiculous song by the Ray Conniff Orchestra is playing.
What's the song?
The name of the song is called Brazil.
Okay.
By the Ray Conniff Orchestra. And it was just so, if you just YouTube that scene with Matt Dillon trying to revive the dog, and that stuck with me forever. I was in the movie theater when I saw that. And I remember it was packed and everyone was laughing hysterically. And just at that scene, I mean, I thought it was hilarious too, but I was just watching like.
Could you hear that?
I did.
All right. You know what that was, right?
Yeah, that was the beginning. Oh, he's doing.
There you go.
Here it comes.
Could you put on your cat, maybe?
What's up?
Could you maybe reenact it with your cat?
My cat?
Yeah, it's right behind you.
She does enough drugs as it is already.
All right. Here it is.
We all know that scene, though. That scene is just
terrible. I want to play the song to kind of get you in the mood, you know.
Brings back good memories, man.
Sure.
Oofa.
So and I'm sorry if you already answered this before, but you quit the comedy thing, the stand-up thing. Do you ever see yourself getting back into it?
I don't know. And the reason why is because YouTube was starting to get really big when I started doing stand-up, or a couple years later. No, it was around the same time. 2006 I started. So it was around that time YouTube started getting really big. And I was just seeing a lot of artists, people doing sketch comedy and stuff and making it big off of that. And, I was thinking maybe going back to, maybe not going back. I've never done sketch comedy before live in the city. And that's something I've always would have liked to do. And again, now it's just all profit motive and just suckling all the money out of these struggling artists trying to get big. And you know what is crazy? You know what else pisses me off too, Brad? It's also the logistics of it, okay? New York City, like my aunt, Kathy, who I love to death, she's always telling me to go back to New York and perform and start something, like move to New York. I'm like, she's like, well, Dustin Hoffman and Gene Hackman lived together, and all these artists, they lived in New York. I'm like, all right, that was the 1970s, right? In the 60s, okay? Do you know how much it costs to live in a shoebox in New York City?
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
I wouldn't be able to even have time to do any gigs. I would be having to work like 90-hour weeks.
Yeah, it'd be ridiculous. It's like $2,000 a month, I think, for a studio apartment, if that. It might be even more.
Oh, I'm sure it's more.
It's ridiculous. Yeah.
And
that's why everybody's moving out right now.
Yeah. And people are saying like that's a cop out, but even the traveling, I didn't mind, but if you really want to make it big in New York, you got to do that shit full time.
Yeah.
And I didn't come from money.
Yeah.
So, I always listen to my father, my mother. I was just playing it safe because I also like eating too and having my own apartment.
Sure.
So it's just
Speaking of your apartment, real quick, does the George Carlin flag glow in the dark?
No, it does not.
Because they asked in the chat if it did.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Lazarus, living on video, was asking. And real quick, I want to go back because we did get sidetracked. We were talking about Instagram, and then I played that song, and then we kind of got off.
Oh yeah.
So you're upset with Instagram with the limitations or restrictions, right? So go ahead. I'm sorry I interrupted, and we got.
No, it's fine. I think I have my problems with social media. I do love it and I do hate it at the same time.
Right.
And it has its pros and cons. But as far as creating for artists, whether you're doing shows or you're doing comedy sketches or you're showing your music, joining a music community or something, they're just like, especially with copyright too. If you're even playing along to a song, sometimes it'll be like, the song is owned by Universal or Sony like that, and it's just not as free as it used to be.
I have an idea, and I don't want to get too sidetracked. We'll come back to the Instagram, but I have a good idea for you. You should join Twitch.
I think I really want to do that because I also have friends who they talk about horror movies, the Grumpkin Gut Schools, and they've been doing their stuff on Instagram Live.
Mm-hmm.
And just to start a little following and hopefully grow it. And now they only are allowed to do an hour live.
Yeah, that's Instagram and Facebook. Obviously, they're owned by it's all owned by Facebook. That is the reason why I ended up on Twitch, because when COVID started, right, I was DJing online. Obviously, with copyright issues, they just blocked out the sound. You can do Facebook, and then you get booted. Instagram, you're only there for an hour, and then boom, you got to restart. If you make it that long, because again, you're playing copyrighted material. So my story with Twitch, I followed DJ Bueller, who was from Sirius XM. He's like, oh, I'm on Twitch, you should check me out. So I came on. He's got visuals going, but he's playing all his mixes, all his what is it, First Wave on Sirius XM. He's playing all that kind of music, all the retro of the 80s, 90s. I'm like, wait, this guy's pretty good. And then you start browsing. And then you realize, well, ideally, I think Twitch was initiated for gamers, but then all these DJs came around. And it's cool.
Really?
As you're playing live, there's absolutely no issue with copyright material. As you're playing it live, nothing gets blocked out, right?
That's great.
Sure, there's some limitations in the chat, and that's why there's moderators. Like I said, with living on video, he made a couple comments, but I was able to go in and let them go through. People get, everyone's super nice, which is bullshit because not everybody is nice all the time, every day. But my point is, you can go online, you can stream live, you can do your music, you can do your comedy, you can smoke, you can drink, I think within reason, as long as you're not, whatever. I think there are limitations, but what you're doing, what we're doing, we're good. My point is, the other thing is once you're done, like once this show is done, the video is attached to my Twitch profile. But because there's no, you can't show nipples. Thank you, Lazarus.
Damn it.
If you were to show your nipple right now, Lou, I'm not enticing you to do it. I don't know what would happen. I'm just saying. But,
I don't know what would happen either because my breasts have gotten very heavy during the pandemic.
Sure. It's pandemic boob. I get it. It's cool.
And I don't want to frighten the female viewers either.
No, perfect. No, I appreciate that. But anyway, if you stream music, you have the option to not post those videos on your page because only then is the music blocked out for copyright. Not to mention there is the Twitch police, for lack of a better term, that if they see copyrighted materials, if somebody makes a claim against your channel for something offensive, they can shut down your channel, they can block you. But at the end of the day, as long as you follow the guidelines when you're doing shit live, there's nothing.
That's great.
There's no problem. And I think, uh, listen, you're not going to start on Twitch and have 100 people. It's an ego check, right? Because there's a lot of DJs that have a good following. They think
Sure.
they go on Twitch, and then boom, they got one person watching, if they're lucky. And it's like anything. You got to work at it, right? You got to get consistent. You got to get a schedule going if you can, and then people know when you're on, and then people will come on and watch you, and then you grow and grow and grow. And the other great upside about it is, and being 100% transparent, you can make money doing it.
I've heard that.
To a certain point, you got to get to a certain point, a certain level. So there's a little bit of criteria there.
Have you been making money?
I am, yeah. But and I'll be honest, if I'm lucky, I get $200 a month, right? And that's from people that are very generous to donate, whether it's in tips, whether it's in bits or subscriptions to my channel, right? But there's guys that, and I won't give names, but there's guys that go on a regular basis. They have schedules. A ton of DJs have schedules, whether it's East Coast, West Coast. They develop great followings and they make good money. And also Mixcloud. Yeah. Thank you, Lazarus. Using Mixcloud streaming. There's no copyright issues there either. So you definitely have options. I talk way too much. I'm sorry.
No, it's interesting. It's totally interesting because I know I am looking for other avenues, and it's but here is one thing I will say about Spotify.
Right.
I have not gotten one thing besides the cease and desist letter from my ex-girlfriend, who's doing really well, by the way.
Yeah, things are looking up.
But I haven't gotten one thing from Spotify about my content, and I'm not saying I'm super hardcore or whatever, but some of the shit I say is I don't have a filter, and some of the shit's pretty gross and fucked up, and I haven't gotten anything. That's
all right. You got to like that, right? There is that freedom, the freedom of speech, not to get too,
But so far, who knows what's going to happen? You see what's happening with Instagram. Like, that's why everybody left Facebook, because Instagram had hardly any restrictions. And now it's becoming very difficult for creators to share.
Yeah.
So Twitch, thanks for telling me that stuff about Twitch. Sounds like a great option. I mean, I got to do more research.
Yeah. I mean, look, it's free to sign up. And like I said, you can stream just like we're doing right here, right now. You could do your podcast with your guests, or just sit here by yourself, and hopefully people are in the chat chatting with you, and you can talk to them and answer them and all that lovely stuff.
Yeah. You got a great mic there too.
Well, I mean, thank you. It's a Shure mic. It's yeah, we are a fun group, right? Love Bunny, her name's Sarah. She's in the Toronto area, and I'll say this: long story short, decided to come on Twitch and play some music. I've actually made friends, which is cool, and I hate to sound corny, but it is what it is, right? It's cool. And here I am. I'm going home to Toronto this weekend to meet a lot of these people for the first time.
Oh, that's great.
We speak on StreamYard, so we know how ugly everybody is, and we talk Twitch, and we talk music, and we have a lot of similarities, but they're good friends now. So, that comes out of it. So
yeah, forming communities. Yeah.
Yeah, it is a beautiful circle jerk. There you go.
A technological circle jerk.
Yeah. But yeah, so the equipment, I mean, basically what I'm doing, my setup is I've got my DJ stuff, my studio here set up in the basement of the house. So I'm basically just using the Shure mic that's going through my mixing board, and the camera's on top of one of my couple monitors here. And, it's fun. And you learn, if you like technology, there's so many ways. I mean, I do it one way with the StreamYard. There's other softwares. We won't get too deep into it, but there's other softwares and options and things you can do to broadcast, and it's pretty cool stuff. Yeah.
I went very basic. I mean, because I was just starting out, so I just bought. Long story short, I bought a USB mic. It's not even a real.
I have one. Yeah.
It's not even like an XR cable mic or anything. So right. It does the job for now, and it's good for when I have guests because it does pick up pretty well. But hopefully, if things do go well with the podcast, I'll get like 2 really nice mics and a board for it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
I have a question, Brad, about Twitch.
Yeah,
it's like one of my fantasies. Another one of my dreams was to be a radio DJ.
Okay.
Die hard. So you think on Twitch, I mean, I don't know how good the sound quality will be.
Right.
But do you think I could just like play my playlists on here for people?
Yeah, absolutely.
You could really do that?
Yeah.
I would love that, because I was looking up, I was going way deep into this because I was considering choosing a certain song for my opening, and I did find one. It's a non-copywritten song, which is great. No, I forgot what they call it, that term. But I found that one. I really like it. But I always wanted to like play music on my show, and I looked, and it's like you have to pay like an insane amount of money to be able to do that. You can. You just have to have the money to do it. And I'm not going to do that. That's crazy.
Oh yeah, Lazarus saying public domain. Is that what?
Public domain? Yeah, public domain.
Yeah, you can do, like, for example. So the way that I got my stuff set up right now, the way that it all works. Just give me 1 second. I'm going to do something real quick here. I'm hoping this works out.
Well, I see DJ Cats. People play their stuff everywhere. But
yep.
I was talking about like, what if I played, like say if I wanted to have the Doors night, play the Doors.
Can you hear this?
Yeah. And I can take a song on my library and just play it.
So this is a Bare Naked. I don't know if you can hear me over the music, but it's a Bare Naked Lady song. Because I got my virtual DJ software open. So whatever's in my library that I DJ with, this is what we're doing.
Wow, this is an awakening.
So
really.
Yeah, I mean that's it.
And I love the Bare Naked Ladies face, by the way.
What's that?
I love the Bare Naked Ladies.
There you go. Good Toronto band.
It's all done is one of my favorite songs. Brings me back to like the greatest times of my life.
They're from the old neighborhood. But basically that's all you got to do, dude. Like, the one thing about Twitch is Twitch made me a VDJ. I play videos, right? Because it gives people something to look at.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the day, now I've gotten to the point where I'll play just regular audio files along with my video files. Because if I play an audio file, I got pictures that show up like a slideshow, you know, my DJ logo and all that kind of shit. But again, I do like the idea of getting videos and downloading it and playing it, and people have something to look at. But again, find a song.
I was there.
Through the board. Don't matter. The only problem is now is when this recording is over, I have to the portion of the audio, if I didn't play too much, it'll get blocked out. Oh, there's an echo. Hold on.
Oh, so live, you won't have that problem, but if you save it and share it, you might have a problem.
Correct. How's the echo now, Eli?
Probably better now.
I turned off my echo cancellation so I could play the music, and then I turned it back on just now.
There you go.
There you go. So that's the deal. All right, Lewis, listen, it's 8:36. I could talk to you forever and ever. I'm glad you came on here. But once again, if you don't mind, tell everyone about the podcast, where they can find you on your Instagram, even though I'm sorry, did you have more to talk about with Instagram? I'm sorry, I didn't want to cut you.
No, it's just pissing me off.
Okay.
But
I get it. Listen, Eli says it right here. Create a show, man. Get her done.
Yeah, I'm really, really, really going to think about this.
And I'll tell you this much. The DJ software that I'm using, I subscribe to. You can download it. It's Virtual DJ. You can download it. I pay a monthly fee because obviously I'm using it constantly. But I think there is a free version. Look, and I'm going to say this out loud, and I don't care. I'm not trying to offend anybody. And Eli knows where I might be going. You can, Eli actually says you can use Winamp as well. Look, there's DJs on Twitch and there's streamers on Twitch, right? Obviously, DJs that have done in-person gigs, they've done weddings, they've done bars, they've done clubs, they've done it all. Say what you want about weddings, it's a money grab, but it is what it is. It's in-person events. To me, guys that are cutting, scratching, doing all that shit, do stuff in person, companies, like to me, that's DJing. And then you got guys that have, I can tell you, one guy in particular, this kid Victor, he's out in California. He's an avid music fan, and he downloaded all his videos. He downloaded Virtual DJ, and he streams. That's and he's got a great, and I'll say he's got a great stream. So I'm not knocking him. So you got a little bit of everything on Twitch. And then you got a guy like Eli, who's a radio producer, DJ type. He's done it all. So there's a lot of different people on Twitch doing this, and you should absolutely do it.
Yeah, I want to start using my radio voice.
Definitely you.
Ladies and gentlemen, live, DJ Brad on Twitch.
Dude, listen, look. Let me show you. Watch this. You ready? This is going to just watch this for a second, if you will. Now, I couldn't fast forward it to the end because of the way that it's set up here in StreamYard, but that's my opening for the Monday Night Show. As the countdown's over, you're listening to DJ Staples Roundtable on Twitch, and then a song plays, and then boom, we pop in and we say hello. So all that shit is doable. It's totally
I'm seeing
doable.
here, Living on Video Club said, why not do the podcast with the video on Twitch, and I can record it at the same time. That's actually a great idea.
Well, that's what I was saying, right? Like after we're done this, especially on StreamYard, it saves the audio. So I could download it and I could send it to you. And if you chose to upload this interview of you on your Spotify account, you could.
Yeah, it's just amazing. It's great how they're trying to give everyone a voice, and very happy about that. Yeah, no, this is really neat. I'm going to do some research on this. Yeah,
definitely check it out. I think you'd be good at it for sure.
Thank you, man. And I got to say, your stuff, I really do love your interviews. You're a great interviewer, and it's
you're too kind.
It's been a pleasure. It really has been a pleasure to be on. I'm really thankful you asked. That was really nice.
Dude, I love your content. Seriously, I laugh. I send stuff to the girlfriend like, dude, this is funny. You got to check this out.
Thank you.
I legit, like, it took, I'll put it this way. I didn't know you very well initially, you know, and then COVID hit, and I was following you online, and I started to see your material and started to see, holy shit, this guy's done stand-up. Holy shit, he's a musician too. Holy shit. And he knows, and obviously, like, you know your music. So I'm like, this Joe guy is a talented mofo, and he's very well rounded, and just, you know. And then once you started doing the podcast, I'm like, yeah, I got to talk to you, because absolutely.
That's really nice, man. That's really
dude.
Nice.
Eli is saying people will. I kid you not. People will watch you sleep on Twitch, and you can get money for it.
What,
dude? If he is a Renaissance man, right, Lazarus? If you sit in a hot tub on an inflatable hot dog and you wear a bikini, people will watch you, and it's ridiculous.
Yeah, I should just broadcast myself sleeping, because I talk in my sleep, and I say I say really random shit. So maybe I should do that one day.
Dude, there's people on here doing ASMR stuff, like,
that creeps me out. It creeps me out a little bit. Yeah, kind of creeps me out, the ASMR stuff.
They whisper, they tap their hands into the microphone.
Yeah.
And they just, thanks for the sub. And they whisper everything.
They should do ASMR porn.
It's not far off. I'm telling you. They're licking these ear-shaped microphones, if you will. It's ridiculous.
Now take the glove and drop it strongly above the penis, just like that. Hurry up.
That's a whole other show.
Hurry up, just like Dad used to. Do
it. Like your dad.
No, I'm just kidding.
Pretend you're in Neverland Ranch and you're hanging out with R. Kelly and you're 10 years old.
Oh, that's so fucking good. Now go to sleep.
It's the remix to Ignition. Anyway. All right. So what we're going to do now, again, Lou, thank you. I do appreciate it. And
thank you, sir.
We got to hit up Ray's Pizza. Follow Lou on Instagram, because once in a while he does pop on and he does go live, and he'll just take local suggestions. The last time I saw you, we were talking about local pizza, where to go, and you took notes, and you were like, yeah, I'm going to do this. And there's some good, fun content, man.
Thank you very much.
Not famous Rays, not original Rays, not the, it's a local spot, Eli, but I know where you're going with that.
I am excited because, the Seinfeld original Rays.
Nexus of the Universe rays, correct.
That is one of my favorite episodes ever. When Kramer he's downtown and he feels homesick.
Yeah. And he can't tell where he's at. He's like, well, where are you? He goes, I'm at the corner of whatever. Well,
I'm at First and First. How can the street intersect with itself?
That's right. I'm right by Ray's Pizza. Well, which Ray's is it? Is it original Ray's? I don't know, Jerry.
Just get down here, Jerry.
It's so funny, man. I love it. So, yeah, man, thank you. I do appreciate you joining and hanging out here this week. And like Eli says, if you can't relate to a Seinfeld or bring it into a conversation, then there's no point in being alive.
I agree. No, I was last thing I'll say. I was talking to a friend of mine. They were talking about religion, and it's like, yeah, religion really isn't popular during COVID. And I was like, I hear things. Because there's an episode where they think Putty is super religious.
Yes,
Putty, by the way.
Yeah,
he's like, yeah, I don't know. It feels like an Arby's night.
She changed his radio stations. So what happened? Put him back.
Resurrected.
Resurrected. That's right.
But George is like, you don't hear that much about God anymore. And Jerry's eating a chip. He's like, I hear things.
What? Listen, I'll say this. One of my favorite Seinfeld moments is when they were talking about the boy in the bubble and how he's in a bubble and you need to visit him, and everyone's handing out like Kleenex to cry and wipe your tears, and Jerry takes it and he wipes his mouth from eating his sandwich. That's me. That's me to a T.
That's incredible. And the guy driving the Yoo-Hoo truck, and he's like, hey, Yoo-Hoo, I love Yoo-Hoo. He's like, yeah, it's a fine product.
Costco. See, this is a show. This right here. This is a show.
Nah, it'll never work.
SNL 40th anniversary. Jerry Seinfeld's on stage doing his thing, and then he starts talking to Larry David in the audience. Have you seen this? And he's like, oh, back and forth. He goes, yeah, we had a pretty good show. And you say, he goes, yeah, we had a good show. And they're going back and forth doing their thing. And then Jerry's like, so, yeah, he's talking to what's her face, Sarah Palin. And he's like, we'll talk about it at the after party. He's like, Larry, you going to the after party?
No.
Oh, I want to go to the after party.
Why would I go to the party?
Funny, man. Like, that's legit belly laugh funny shit.
He has my face, because that is my face. I'm always like this.
He's got a face.
You know, he always looks disgruntled and pissed off. That's my face all the time.
I love it. I love it. Are you my Caucasian? Are you my Caucasian?
Oh, Crazy Eyes Killer. Yeah.
Crazy Eyes Killer.
Delicious.
So great. See, we could do like a whole other hour just on this nonsense.
Oh,
but anyway, JB Smoove. So thank you. I'm going to don't go anywhere. Just thank you again, everybody. If you can follow Lou on his Instagram, it's at Loose in House. Did I say Louse in House? Right. And then, of course, don't forget his Spotify streams, Louse in House Radio. I'm already following him, so please make sure that you're doing so as well. And if you do decide to go on Twitch, Lou, I'll have you back on. We'll plug the channel, dude. We'll do whatever you got to do.
Oh, yeah. We'll have a lot of back and forth and have a lot of fun.
Absolutely. And side note, Seinfeld will now be available, I believe, September on the Netflix.
I can't fucking wait.
I hear you. They got, thank you, Eli. They got rid of, they let The Office go, but now it's going to be signed. Oh, it's going to be great. Just think of like Kramer, the 4th of July outside of his apartment door. Just he's so many great shows.
Like, when are you gonna start cooking? After the fireworks.
when he has all his friends over and he's smoking all the cigars, like he has a cigar house or whatever you want to call it, and he's like all yellow. And he's like, your teeth. He's like, look away, they're hideous. And even you know what it is about those episodes that I like so much? It's also the outtakes. So when I see the final product, like I laugh harder because I've seen the outtakes. Like when he's like, "Oh, look away, I'm hideous," and his skin's all, he goes, "Look at you, you're brown or whatever." And then one more thing, I'm going to say this since we're on the topic of this nonsense. I was watching with Stacy. We were watching Three's Company on the Cozy Network 2 weeks ago.
Oh wow!
Fucking Mr. Furley is by far like stupid as hell, but funny. I don't know if you ever watched it, but yeah, man. Old Three's Company with Mr. Furley. Roper
Okay.
was great, but Furley was like, damn, like just so.
Wasn't that Don Knotts?
Yeah. Oil. Yeah, just so friggin' funny. I had to throw that out there. Anyway, so what we're going to do is I'm going to raid over to another channel here on the Twitch. It's the Twitch DJ Battles. Living on video. I know you're at work. Yes, the Apple Dumpling Gang. We're going to go to the Twitch Battles now. And then after that, some of us are going to hop on the StreamYards and converse. Maybe if you're around Living on Video and you can join us. I don't know if we're going to go live on the Twitch, but myself, Eli, I think Retro Mix Toronto, Dan from Impressions and all that good stuff are going to convene and discuss the upcoming weekend. Anyway, Eli, thank you for the compliment on this. Lou, awesome job, man. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. I'm working on my Tucker Carlson face.
It's a good look. It's a good look. I like it. I like it.
Thank you, Brad.
Yeah, man. Thank you. So Louse In-House on the Instagram. And of course, Louse In-House Radio on the Spotify. Arian V, thank you. Thank you, everybody, for being here.
Yeah, thank all of you. You guys are really sweet. Thank you.
That was fun. All right, so Lewis, don't go anywhere. I'm going to take you out of the screen real quick. Thank you again. Everybody, thank you so much. So we're going to raid over now to, like I said, Twitch DJ Battles. Bear with me as I try and finagle here. We should be back next week, Monday night, maybe with a round table. I'm not sure. I don't really foresee any pop-ups this week because there's a lot going on. And, of course, I am leaving the country Friday to come up to Toronto. So that being said, let's start ourselves with a raid. We're going to pull this up now. We're going to find, hope you don't mind me just walking you guys all through this. Poor Lou's sitting in the background like I got to deal with this nonsense. Waiting. Twitch DJ Battles. Where the hell is he? Hang on, folks. Again, thanks everybody for joining and hanging out. What is it? Twitch DJ Battles. Is he on? Do we know if he's live, Eli? I said raid. I did say raid. Why can't I I don't have my glasses on. This is horrible. Is he on? Do we know? Why can't I see him? He's not live? He's not? What the hell? What the hell? We were supposed to raid him. He's not on the list. Maybe everybody bailed on him. I don't know. Okay, let's see. Who else can we raid then? Let's see. I don't have. Fuck. All right, we're gonna raid Celebrity Drew. He's on an ASMR channel. All right, we're gonna raid over to Celebrity Drew, folks. Thank you. Kid Arctic, hold on. I hate when there's like a wrench in the. Yeah. Okay, we're gonna go over to Kid Arctic. Thank you for that. Here we go, folks. Bring my cursor back over. Thanks, everybody. Appreciate it. Here we go. I'm still here. Hold on a minute. This is hard, man, doing all this stuff on your by self. Hold on. That worked. All right. Thanks, everybody. I don't know if anybody's still here at this point. I fucked up. Oh, man. Hold on. Like a train off the tracks. Goodbye.